Okay, now this is a question which connects three different topics. One is Newton's laws of motion, two is circular motion, and three is friction between two bodies. To be more precise, static friction. So if you want the direct answer to this question, I would say you can just go through this here. So if static friction is more than or equal to the centripetal force, then the block will move along with the disk. Therefore, we can say that static friction, you can use less than or equal to if you want, will be equal to the centripetal force. Centripetal force is mass of the block into or beaker into circular acceleration circular, which is m omega square r. Friction is mu into n. N is mg, m by m is 1. So we have mu s into g is equal to omega square r, where r is mu s into g by omega square. Very straightforward solution. Now, see, this is important, definitely. The reason why you prepare for PYQs is make sure that you are able to increase your speed, you're able to practice more, and it gives you a very, very replica of the maybe the coming future exams. But what's also important is to understand the very reason why these PYQs are important. Why? Because once you start practicing PYQs, you'll realize that almost every question is a minor revision of the chapter. Okay, so keeping that in mind, I would like to spend some more time here to discuss the concepts here. So what is that we have here? Let's try to understand it. Okay, so there is a turntable here which is rotated using a motor. This is the direction of rotation clockwise. So to visualize the concept better, you need to understand that this is the turning disc. To visualize the rotation, I have labeled 1, 2, 3, and while rotating clockwise, the numbers would shift like this, and I show the shift here. So this is the rotation only of the turntable. The question is not of the rotation of the turntable. The question is in fact rotation of the, exactly, there's a beaker which is kept on this turntable. Now, if this beaker has to execute circular motion, there is a requirement of centripetal force. And this centripetal force, which will rotate this beaker along with the disc, is offered by the friction, static friction between the beaker and the disc, which is acting towards the center. What is the condition of no slipping? Condition of no slipping means that there is no relative motion between the beaker and the disc. Or in other words, velocity of the beaker should be equal to velocity of the disc. Maybe let me just write it out. This condition of no slipping implies velocity of beaker should be equal to velocity of disc. And how is that obtained? This is obtained only when this beaker kept at a distance r will execute an centripetal force caused due to the friction. Now, if this omega, let us say omega is 5 rad per second, and then we have omega 2 is 10 rad per second, and then we have omega 3 which is 15 rad per second, and then we have 100 rad per second. Say for example, okay. Now at lower speeds of lower angular speeds, say omega is equal to 5, this beaker will revolve with the, let me just take an example to, let's say this is the beaker over here, right? So say this is the beaker, and this beaker will rotate along with the disc. If you keep this at higher speeds, it will still rotate along with the disc. And if you increase the speed, it will keep on rotating with the disc. But at some point, as the velocity of this disc is increased, it will just fly away. It will just fly away. It will just fly away perpendicular or to be tangential with respect to that specific point. Okay, and it is at this condition. And in this condition, when we say that it is going stably, we can say that the centripetal force should be less than or equal to the limiting value of friction. Okay, and if you analyze the Newton's laws of motion here, Weight of the body is acting downwards. Normal reaction on the beaker due to the disc is acting upwards. Static friction is acting towards the center. So if you apply sigma fx is equal to max by second law of motion, what is ax? Ax is a centripetal. What is fx? Fx is f static. Therefore, we have f static is equal to m into a centripetal. F static is equal to m into a centripetal. So you have the same equation again, right? Okay. So yes. So that's one part of understanding this. Now I've made this handwritten note here because I feel that some of you find it really difficult to spend a lot of time to understand and to get the solution. So I just thought that if you are really fast with your calculations, then maybe such a short explanation would help you in saving your time. Okay. So that's one part of solving this. Now let's spend some more time in detail to understand the concepts. Let us dive deep into requirement of centripetal force, condition of no slipping, and of slipping motion. Now, I would suggest you make a note of all these along with me so that things will become really clear to you. See, it is hard to write down these notes for one time. Yes, I do understand, but you do it once, then it becomes it becomes if you understand the concept while writing it, and if you visualize it as I'm doing it, things will become really more clear to you, and it will stay with you for a long time, for a longer time at least. Okay.